How we doing, guys? I'm glad to already see we have some viewers already in the show. That means that we have some regulars. You guys are used to the schedule. We're getting used to the schedule. I do like this Saturday afternoon kind of. It's a good time because we have enough injury news that we can react to it for lineups. We can react to it for these spread picks, and I really like what we're doing here. So just off the top, quickly, like and subscribe if you've ever thought we were good. If we ever gave you a good pick, if you just like our camaraderie, it goes a long way. With that being said, though, I won't bore you with any more of the advertisement kind of dollars, if you will, but it does help us a lot.
I will bore you. Comment down below with whatever thoughts you have on the stream. We'll love to take questions. If you're in here with us, ask us questions in chat. We'll get to them as we can. But it's Saturday.
That's all valuable stuff.
It's Saturday. We're here for our Saturday show, which means we've all been doing our research all week. It's time to build a lineup. It's time to get our spread picks in. And it's time to discuss a Sunday of football, which is what I've been wanting. Like, I'll admit, this week, I personally have taken sort of a step back from my process. Like, normally, like Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm starting to read articles. I'm starting to pull in data. I'll start building out my sheet. Didn't even start doing it till after the Thursday game. I did not even start digging into Sunday until after the Cowboys-Giants game.
I've heard that from so many people this week. That's really interesting, and I think it might actually be valuable. I mean, if you guys want to go back, speaking of content, and watch our review show, we actually have a pretty well profitable outcome last week. But that's not always what we talk about, even when we do the review shows for the process itself. I actually find that very fascinating that you kind of took a step back, because I believe, not talking out of school here, Donnie did the same thing. And then an admirer of mine in terms of listening and just absorbing content, OWS kind of did the same thing. They took a more universal approach to the rest of the year, more than they focused in on this particular week. So I thought that was very interesting too, because they started looking at more of the projected outcomes of like what we expect from running back shares, what we expect from coaches, who might be the desperate coaches about to get fired. These type of things started to become more the larger future, conversations. I thought that was interesting. It's valuable for this week, but we're not so ingrained in like the snap counts of this particular week. I thought that was very fascinating. You can speak on that if you want, Donnie. You probably have the number generator so we can get our picks to it.
Yep, well. I got that ready. Yeah, I definitely took a whole step back. I don't think I did any Monday night. I don't think I did any Thursday night. I was not focusing much on football at all. I was just taking a week off, and I'm back to it now.
Now, I'll say this. Like, I was I didn't do my normal research when I say that for my process. Like, the normal stuff I would do. That being said, I was still a part of my Discords. I still had discussions with people. It's not like I was unaware of Sunday. But I could tell just by, one, it's week 4. So this is that first week where most of the time we have the 3 basic, like, when I'm looking at projections and stuff for a year, I want to see every team play a home game. I want to see every team play a road game. And I want to see every team play a divisional game. And through the way the NFL does their scheduling, we basically have that through the first 3 to 4 weeks. So this was the first week like I could actually deep dive into stats and maybe glimmer something other than like the first couple of weeks. It's like, okay, I see the stats, but is this going to be sticky? Or is this early season tryouts? Is this guys are hurt and need to come in? Like that's already happened. We've been seeing that a lot more in the NFL where there's a lot of injuries early.
I do think
and like major injuries, offensive linemen, defensive like pass rushers, quarterbacks, and those really change how an offense runs.
This was a bit of a diversion. Basically, we're trying to transition to our spread picks here, but I do think it was a valuable conversation when we talk about process, because a lot of people think like, oh, you're just going to tell us how to build a lineup or tell us how to fit a quarterback in, or your favorite stack of the week. Sometimes it's not just taking a step back or like, oh, I'm taking this week off. It's like, no, I'm just recharging myself. I'm still excited for football. I still want to watch everything. I still want to be excited. There's still plays I like. but you should challenge yourself to play different things. We talk about it with contest selection. We talk about it with like trying things that you're uncomfortable with, not so much to force it in, but to see what it looks like. And I think that's an interesting discussion. But go ahead, Donnie. You can get us started.
All right. Yep. We all need a number. I'm going to go back to what failed me last week in 81. It won't fail twice, right?
It might.
Maybe.
81 special in my heart.
44.
I'll go 10. Another Matthew Stafford like wide receiver number 10.
37. So it definitely failed me again. But I get the snake, so that's cool.
It's fine. I'll get the snake in the draft in the lineup. And another week I get to go first, and then I would prefer to have the snake in the lineup builder anyway. So
all right.
This works out great for me. All right, so I guess we should start off. The group pick, the pick of the week, the stone cold lock of the year of the week. I don't even know if we can call it that, actually. We have decided that we like this Tampa Bay Bucks game, and specifically the Bucks side. Like, I'm not afraid of this Eagles team, and from what I've seen from Tampa Bay this year, I think they will be competitive. These are two teams that will probably see each other in the playoffs. Like, personally, I think Tampa Bay makes the playoffs out of the NFC South. And so them playing Philly in a playoff game in the wild card round is probably likely in my mind. Because I don't have Philly being the number one seed. So Philly, this is Philly and Tampa. I could easily see Tampa coming to Philly as like the wild card round. So this looks like a good game to like keep stats on for the future. But also, as we've seen through 3 weeks, Tampa Bay runs their offense. Like, they're going to split their backfield running back, and they have a heavy target share to Evans and Godwin, which gets even more condensed without McMillan here. But
McMillan's out.
We'll talk about that when we get to the lineup builder.
Yep.
Eagles secondary is shaky. Like, I'm not going to call them good. I'm not going to call them bad, but they're shaky. So I will definitely take some all-pro receivers against a shaky secondary. The real only question about this game is, is Philly's receiving core hurt so bad that they won't be able to keep up? And if that's my only worry, is that the Saints might not be able to keep up with Tampa, then Tampa getting points seems like a lock for me. Any thoughts on you?
Yeah, I really like this game, honestly. I think it makes a lot of sense.
Just to target? Because of injuries, I'm guessing?
Just in
the
general,
over-under isn't even that bad. Like, to be fair, there's a lot of these, like, low 40 over-under totals on this slate. You've got a lot of 40, 41, 42. And there's only, like, 3 games that are even really at a good high total. Let me make sure I got my list. Yeah, so, like, Washington, Arizona's at 50. Carolina, Cincy's at, like, 47. And then the Jags and Houston game has a decently high total at, like, over 45. But other than that, like, every game sort of looks the same. So if you're not full stacking those games, I do think, like, any one of these games could be good. Like,
I do think this is the game where you get your value. Bucky Irving was limited with a hamstring. He could easily be out. I know White's been inefficient, but still at a price where no one knows what to do with it. I don't like these two teams. As a former coach, I just don't like their chemistry. I don't like kind of the expectation versus the execution of the coaching staff. Stefanski's never been my type of guy. I always do that. I mentioned Kevin Stefanski, didn't I? I mean the Eagles coach. But my point is, like, he just seems angry, he just seems emotional. He never seemed to have that team under control. They lost Jason Kelsey, which I think was a calming influence, an anchoring influence to that locker room. So I am biased. I've never been on the Eagles. But specifically, I don't really like the Bucks either, but you're going to give me 1.5. Earlier this week, I believe it was even 2 points. With the injuries, I do have to take a talent regression to the Eagles, even if you're a fan of them, because yes, they have Barkley and he's looked amazing, and Barkley's a great player. But at what point is that just too much focus on him? You could easily eliminate him.
Yeah, and the one thing Tampa does,
we got to get going to the next picks.
We'll get going.
Yeah, you got to start.
You're right, because I do have a hard out here. in about an hour and a half. So
yeah. So let's move on to your first official pick.
All right. So for me, I kind of like that game, but I've been like trying to search for a game that truly speaks to me. And the way I do my process, I like to follow the money and see where it's going, and then determine from there whether or not, like, am I truly going to follow the money, or am I going to? Because I actually was having this discussion with myself. Do I prefer to follow the money, or do I prefer to follow Vegas? Who's going to be more profitable over time? Because that's the horse I'd like to hitch my wagon to. And after thinking through it, I think I would rather follow Vegas most of the time. Maybe not on like if there's a lot of money going on a heavy favorite, I might follow that. But for the most part, when a lot of big money goes on a guy or on a team or on a spread or whatever it is,
there's a reason.
There's usually a lot of big like whales doing it, but those big whales are what's keeping Vegas going. Not like it just sort of depends on who you trust more. And I'm always willing to default to Vegas is Vegas because they win enough to stay relevant. So I think I'd rather back them than anything else. So the first game I was looking at, the one that really screamed out to me, because there's a big discrepancy in the money, is the main game of the week when it comes to DFS. And that's that Washington-Arizona game. I'm going to follow Vegas on this one from what I'm seeing. And the way Vegas is going to win this is if the Commanders cover. So I'm going to take Washington plus 3.5 as my first pick. It was up there. It was up.
Was it up?
It's 3.5.
Yep. I saw it 3.5 as you on your screen. Scroll up. Keep going. There it is.
I got it on my end. I got it tracking.
Yep. So like Washington at plus 3.5. I do think this game is going to be relatively close. There is a scenario where Washington wins, but I do think 50 total, 49 total is a solid total for this. This could easily be 23-20, in which case, if like that's a win for me, even if it's 23-20 Cardinals. So it's a little bit of a limp. Like there's enough money where like 58% of the bets are on Washington, but only 31% of the money. I think I'll like Vegas is going to come out big if the Cardinals, most of the money is on the Cardinals to cover. So Vegas comes out big if Washington plays them tough. Now Washington is straight garbage on defense, so this is what I like. I like this pick. It is my number one overall pick. That being said, I don't have a true conviction pick on my spreads this week. So, like, this is my favorite. I'm not, I wouldn't bet the full unit on it, personally.
Let me
this is a week where I might not have the full unit bet on stuff.
I'll be quick, because I think we bet late in the week, and that's, difficult. We talked about that with the numbers and the odds. But I think the Commanders are a lot better than the Cardinals, especially when you take McBride off of the Cardinals, who they haven't even used that well, but he's one of their talent boosters on that team. You're going to take him off that I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Commanders are good on defense. They're not, but Arizona is eliminating their good targets based on injury. If I was going to bet this game, I just bet the over. The money line. Daniels and that offense with Cliff Kingsbury has been very efficient. I believe they haven't punted in like 8 quarters or something like that. They've only gotten better offensively, and maybe they get better on defense just based on a subtraction of McBride. So if I was going to bet this, I would just bet the money line. I think the Commanders have more talent. We'll see how that gets distributed, and if they can play a modicum of defense, I guess we'll see. But I would definitely be interested in the money line in the over.
You can even see from the lines they have on the game, like with what you're saying, like it's favored for Washington to cover with 3.5, but then they're horribly unfavored to lose the game. Like they're horribly then Arizona is horribly favored to win the game. Like minus 175 compared to minus 120. Like that's a big difference between Vegas putting the odds on Arizona winning, but them also putting solid odds on Washington covering. And then it's basically a 50-50 split at 49, whether or not they think it's the over-under. So I do think this is going to be a very good game to stack when we get to our lineup. But I'm intrigued about the odds on this game, and I'm willing to follow.
What's your pick, Logan?
Yeah, Logan, what's your number one pick?
My number one pick is I just like it because I think one team is desperate and actually has a chance to turn around their season, and the other one is basically cooked. Give me the Dolphins at 1.5. I think this Titans team is just about done. They've had injuries already with Hopkins, so they already had problems with their rotation, with their offense. The coach is fighting with Will Levis. They don't know what they have in him. They don't trust him. And now, granted, the Dolphins have been a disappointment, but at least you know why. Their quarterback had been changed. But this is just a talent.
Huntley is starting this week, by the way.
Well, that's what I mean. That changeover at quarterback, you're still not comfortable because he hasn't been there. There's a lot of changeover. This is just a talent bet for me, though, Donnie. You got Tyreek Hill, you got Waddle. You're bringing in a veteran quarterback. Kind of opposite of what the Green Bay Packers did, where they stuck with someone in-house, a younger guy, didn't expect much, changed the whole offense. I think the Dolphins brought in a guy that they're comfortable with. We'll see if it works, but they're desperate. I think they have more talent than the Titans. So this is a perfect game for the Dolphins to say they're still a contender. And so I like it.
In my mind, it all comes down to that quarterback. Because, if you have a quarterback, just forget name. Would you rather have the quarterback that's been with you and knows your system? Or would you rather have the quarterback that's probably a little more athletically gifted but does not know your system? That's what it comes down to for Miami. Because Skylar Thompson just did not look good. He just did not look good at all. I don't know if that's him. I don't know if that's Mike McDaniels not changing, like with Green Bay. Did Mike McDaniels not change the offense at all with his new quarterback in place? That gives me some mistrust of Miami. But I am with you that I think Tennessee is probably more done than Miami. I think this quarterback change could at least keep Miami on track.
Right.
And so
it's just a talent bet for me. Yeah. I know both teams have been a disappointment at this point, especially what we consider their offenses to be. But it's just a talent bet for me. Don, you have any points? Because I thought you liked this game.
I do like this game, and I just really like Tyler Huntley's talent. I think he's significantly better. He's going to make that offense look good. Even if it's a simplified version of it, I trust that my offensive-oriented coach is going to be able to game plan enough where that quarterback can look fine, just like Malik Willis did in his first couple weeks in Green Bay.
And I could argue that he was always better than Skylar Thompson, and if they would have had a full week to actually prepare, I think Huntley could have started over Thompson.
100%.
Yeah, I don't think this is a downgrade. Now, it might not be a huge upgrade, and you can make the sense to say, this quarterback's not going to be Tua, but I don't even think Tua was like a top 10 quarterback. So that's why I'm saying I don't think it changes the talent, discrepancy of the Dolphins so much. It's just whether they can execute or not. Speaking of execution, Donnie, I think it's your pick, right?
Yep, I got the next two, and I'm just they're both same division, both kind of the same reasons. I think one team is on the uptick and actually has talent there, and the other teams are not looking great. I'm going to take first the Browns to 2.5 for the Browns there against Vegas. No Tay Adams this week, no Max Crosby. There's a lot of talent missing that game for Las Vegas. I don't think they have enough. Even if the Browns offense doesn't show up, they are going to be hard-pressed to score on the defense as well. So I'm just going to take my points.
Las Vegas is in full fire sale, whereas I think Cleveland still, Cleveland always thinks that they're in it until they're
9
or 5 games, until they're 4 games off of 500, and then they know. But at 1 and 2, they we get this. We're 2 and 2. The only team beating us in the division right now would be the Steelers, who, God, this is probably the Steelers' year.
You're not wrong,
and that's my
crazy.
next pick, by the way. Pittsburgh.
Oh, you're taking Pittsburgh
Pittsburgh -2 is the spread. I don't see it with Anthony Richardson. I mean, I know he's had a couple spark weeks here and there, but I don't expect a Mike Tomlin ran defense to really give him those rush lanes, force him to make good passes. If he beats you that way, you live with it. Otherwise, I'm containing him in the pocket, I'm blitzing him, and he's going to have to be a good passer, and I'll bet against that every day.
This is a game where the Steelers defense could just tee off pretty exclusively. And like maybe they're not exciting or fun to watch, but like this is a type of game where that defense I just feel like gets real excited. You got a rushing quarterback that's not really super accurate, makes a lot of fun highlight type plays. This is the kind of game that Tomlin really likes to get fundamental on, almost like a Greg Popovich kind of Spurs kind of approach, where it's like, oh, you want to be flashy and fun? We're going to just kill you with fundamentals and boring football, but it's going to work so efficiently. I would say that Harris is back, by the way. People were wondering. It looks like Harris is going to play. Could be a DFS value if Warren does sit. So keep up on that as well.
It looks like Warren's completely out. I didn't know Najee was like. Again, I wasn't looking.
Najee was hurt early this week.
I did not see anything on Najee. I've been loving Najee since I started.
The Warren's out, so that's good news for DFS.
I will say this is the one game where like just number of bets that I have tracked is far and away above any other game. Like just to give you a perspective with the numbers I have an average of like 38,000 bets tracked per game in the websites and the data I use, but there's almost 60,000 bets on this Steelers-Colts game.
Interesting.
To put that in perspective, you're talking like 10,000 more individual bets, easy, on this game than any other game on the slate. That being said, the money's 50-50. So like in my process, this is very hard. It's like the money's 50-50. Vegas is basically going to win no matter what with this game.
This is
it's just that more people are going to win if the Steelers cover. So it's a weird one because I do not trust the Colts to cover. Like I think that this is the spot that everyone can see that the Steelers should probably cover this game. I don't have much faith in Indy. Their run defense has been horrible, and Pittsburgh runs the ball so much with a strong defense that do I think there's a lot of scoring in this game? Mm-hmm. No. Like, would I still bet the under on 40? Probably. But I do think, like, I would definitely take Pittsburgh. So, like, I like your bet there.
Whose pick is it now?
It is now yours.
I thought it was. I can't believe this bet is on the board. I also bet
Don't take my other bet. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't.
I don't know. I'm going your division, Gov.
God.
I like the Saints at plus 2.5
thank God.
Over the Falcons.
Okay.
Look, I know the Saints had injuries concerns early in the week. Underhill, one of their beat reporters, was basically saying like, "Well, watch out, guys! Our offensive line's hurt. Big players could sit." Kamara was rested, was nursing an injury apparently. Some of that's just good maintenance because they're star players and your offenses look good and you want to do just a little bit of maintenance, and make sure your machines are ready to go. And so I think that's all that was. I don't think the Falcons are very explosive. I don't think they're particularly that good. I think basically what I'm saying is I think the Saints are so much better than the Falcons, and then you're going to give me 2.5 points, which I know isn't a field goal. You're not betting them through a field goal, but still, like, you're going to give me a plus number on a team I just think is better. I'll take that bet.
All right, that's not bad.
Yeah, I like that.
I actually had nothing on my division. Like I was gonna look at my Panthers game, but like that was not one that's really jumping out to me. I will say this, like for my final pick, if you guys are ready.
I'm ready.
I've seen a stat so far early in the year.
Mm-hmm.
And these are one of the trends that'll happen 3-4 weeks. I'll look at them and see what I want to do. And the trend right now is that so far through the first 3 weeks, teams that are 5.5 point underdogs, so plus 5.5 or higher, currently are 13-2 against the spread this year. So that's 13 times they've covered, twice they didn't. Those 2 times they didn't were I believe it was Miami 1 week, and then Jacksonville against Buffalo. So I don't think that that's a sticky set. Like, I don't think all these huge underdog teams are going to just keep covering like they have been. So I'm looking at that, and the first thing I want to do is just take the 49ers -10.
I hate that.
I know you guys hate that.
It's
I know you hate it all the friggin'. Oh, that's fine.
Don't hate it.
Is fine. I don't like as a matter. I want to say this. I've actually probably been the highest person among my small group of friends on New England this year. I have a lot of Ramondre in best ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in all of my season-long leagues, I took Ramondre as like my third running back every single time he was available to be my third running back. But I know San Francisco is going to come out tough. They're going to come out angry. They got Kittle back. They're at home. New England's coming off that horrible Thursday loss against the Jets. It scares me because this is probably going to be a defensive battle, and I don't know if the point spread actually gets there. This is a really high one.
Yeah.
But I also trust that the Niners are going to come out and put up 30 points like they always do.
I don't think that they can score 30 points.
So really that's the thing. I do think San Fran will put up 28 to 30 points.
Yeah.
I don't think New England's going to put up 20. Like, I definitely see a 30 to 13 game here. And so because of that, I'm willing to do it. Then you go with my other metrics, which if I'm going to follow where Vegas wins on the money, then I'm just going to take the Niners. Not enough money is being put on the Niners compared to what's being put on New England to cover.
I don't like it when a lot of professional teams are favored to lose by double digits. And now a player and a coach now that I respect in Mayo, I just feel like he's got to lose by 11 points. You're then saying that the 49ers can score without CMC. They can score. Debo's hurt, maybe he comes back.
I expect CMC and Debo to be out, but Kittle being back.
Right, so I'm just off of it because I've never bought into Brock Purdy being that much of a difference maker, and now he has to be with these injuries. So I'd be off of it because I think you're right. I think it's a defensive game, and I don't think they score that many points. But I understand why you do because, you think the 49ers are going to put up.
Well, I also think the scheme. Like, I think New England has shown that they still sort of run a Belichick-style defense in what they want to do when they scheme out a defensive play. And I have a feeling.
I completely disagree with that, by the way. But their secondary game plan is completely different from what Belichick runs it as. But
I mean, you'd have to show me that where specifically when we at a certain time, because
it's just the way to defend top receivers. It's not the same strategy, but I don't. It's a pointless conversation.
I mean, I was about to say they seem to be running the same thing. Like, I'm looking at snap counts. I'm looking at where guys are on the field.
Usually the number 2 corner will just follow the number 1 receiver, and then they'll double the number 1 receiver with their number 1 corner will follow the number 2.
Yeah,
receiver. But that's not happening this year.
This year where New England doesn't have a number 1 corner. Like, Christian Gonzalez is good, but he has not proven that you do that with him in a year. Now, could they start doing that by the end of the year? Yes. But that leads me to the whole, with that thought, I think they're going to make the mistake, which is what's going to give San Fran the ability to score points. They're going to put their best corner on the wrong dude. And then San Fran's going to be able to scheme everything.
I'm more with Johnny because I do think Gonzalez is good.
With what you're saying, they should put Christian Gonzalez on Juwan Jennings.
On Juwan Jennings, and
leave the other two. And leave the other ones and leave the Marcus.
Jonathan Jones is a very good corner as well. Yeah. So I mean, they have no great very goods.
The fact that they don't put Christian Gonzalez on Ayuk, who's clearly the worst receiver on that team, is actually going to be what kills them. Like, they're going to put Christian Gonzalez on James, and then Ayuk's not going to, it doesn't matter if you double cover him. They're going to scheme running back and tight end touches before they try to throw it to Ayuk in his temper tantrum.
And all that could happen. I don't think that the Patriots are going to play the type of game that would allow them to lose by 11. Because I do think they believe in that defense.
That is the risk I am taking with this.
Yeah.
Like I said,
you're basically banking on the defense doesn't show up.
No, because even if the defense shows up, like there hasn't been a defense that's really stopped San Fran from scoring. Like the closest that was Minnesota, and they got so much pressure. And even then, San Fran was still putting up points. Kittle still scored a touchdown. Mason still got his carries and yardage. Like it just wasn't as efficient of a game because of all that pressure.
Are you ready, Don?
New England's not getting that much pressure. They're just being like outside of one big lapse play to DK, they've just been very disciplined, which is another thing I equate to a Bill Belichick style defense. You're just going to play very disciplined, and you're going to game plan out the main receiver with that secondary, with the way they run their secondary. And I still see that from Mayo. Maybe not as effective, maybe not exactly the same, but I still see them scheming out the top threat while playing a very disciplined defense.
We got to get to our DFS too at some point. So let's get Donnie's pick here so we can transition.
I already did.
No, that should be it.
Done.
That was
it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
We are ready for our lineup builder.
Okay. I didn't want to short people. I want to make sure we got it in before I transition. But so we do play for the people. We do play single entry.
Pull this off screen. Don't show people your password.
It's true. People might actually.
Come on, DraftKings. We're on the same IP address. You're just switching from Sportsbook to DFS. Quit making this such a huge deal.
Oh man!
And fix your geolocate because it won't even find me. I'm in West Virginia. I should be able to use your Sportsbook on something other than my phone. Come on, DK.
It's a huge deal too. Like at one point, I literally. I think I was cooking some beans. So I went to the stove, turned them off, came back, and they made me log in again. I don't know for location, and I was on a desktop, so it wasn't even like I was switching devices. It's absurd. I understand why they do it, but it's absurd. I was speaking to, we do single entries. People, we are getting a lot of new views recently, so I just want to mention we do kind of build with a more single entry, 3-entry max mindset, but you can use these concepts for basically any lineup, because what we're trying to do is give you more of a process and more of a way to build more than to say, oh, this player is better than this player. So let's get started. What lineup do you guys want to start with today?
I think we should start with our draft today.
Yeah, let's start with the plain draft. Get our favorite plays and make them fit.
Mm-hmm.
That, and just for everyone who's new, we're going to do a draft lineup where we'll each go through, put in our favorite plays, and each one of us will then have to adjust with our second and third picks to either find the value to make a lineup work or whatever it might be to make sure we get under the salary cap. The second lineup we build, we will just plug in our best value plays for the slate, usually leaving a few thousand on the table, and then we'll upgrade a spot or two from there.
It's kind of
so Donnie, you are the first pick, right?
Yep, I'm my first pick. I already know what I want. I don't care. Honestly, I don't care which one of them we get in. I will be playing one of the two in either lineup with all the injury news with their team. I'm leaning more Diggs right now, but I want Diggs.
I'm perfectly fine with that. Houston wide receivers should have a great game.
Diggs has Tank Dell this week. We still have a questionable Mixon. Mm-hmm. I really like the upside of this offense this week. Now I don't need to pick and choose who I'm going after. I will have a Stroud stack. I am 100% happy with that.
I will say Jacksonville runs the most man coverage than anyone in the league. I believe they run 66% man coverage. And so Nico Collins and Diggs could both be good plays this week. I think I'm more on the Collins side, but Jacksonville does run a lot of man, and
10 or 12 targets each last week.
Right.
So, I mean, you can't go wrong with it. It's just whoever's going to score, honestly, in my opinion.
A lot of people are running zone these days. Jacksonville runs man. I expect this to be a passing happy game for Houston.
I agree. And then, I don't hate the Diggs play. I will have plenty of Diggs. I'm personally more on Nico, mostly due to his regression that is necessary. Mm-hmm. And for other people, regression is not a bad thing. You regress to the mean. You regress to your average. So if you're playing below your average, regression is good. because you're going to get better. And that's where, like, Nico has 4 inside the 4 red zone targets. Not just, like, inside the 20. Like, 4 end zone targets. And he hasn't caught a single one. And he hasn't caught a single one this year. Now he's going to get man coverage and this high end zone usage. I think touchdown regression for Nico. Like, Nico has been getting there as one of these top receivers for Houston without really having much touchdown upside in his game so far. Diggs, like, remember, Diggs had all the touchdowns in week 1.
Yep.
And even with him having all the touchdowns in week 1, he still doesn't have as many targets in the end zone as Nico does.
I get the play. Now, what else are we going to pair him with? Like, how else are we going to make this work?
Oh, we're going to make this work right now. Well, it's your pick, Logan. What's your favorite play? Again, you don't have to make it work right now. You can just jam in your favorite play if you want. I know how I would make this work. But I get my pick next where I get the snake. So we'll see. What's your favorite play, though, Logan?
My favorite play?
What's the one guy you want to make sure is in this line?
All right, I'm going to give you some money then.
Oh, you want a value play?
Oh, Ford's never mind.
Yeah. Let's say Ford's 100% playing. And everyone needs to get off this Stephon performance.
And Ford's playing.
He literally only had usage in the game. They were up 2 touchdowns basically the entire game.
I'm going to go with
so in the second half, Foreman outsnapped Ford by a massive amount.
I can easily pivot to my second play, which is Brock Bowers without Adams. I do know Adams.
Adams makes things tough. No, keep going. I'm just thinking I had a place I was going to go to help make the Dixon work, and I sort of needed the tight end spot.
At week 1, Brock Bowers out targeted Adams. Everyone talked about that. And then Adams had a bounce back. Now he's out completely. This team needs some explosion. I'm going to go with the rookie who's shown that explosion. Give me Brock Bowers.
I love that play from that game. Like, I say Vegas is in full fire sale, but when you're in full fire sale, you're going to get snaps and touches to the guys you're definitely keeping. And this rookie tight end is legit. They're definitely going to be building around him. So I could see him having another 8-10 target game. All right. Now, Cleveland's defense is tough, but when you're the only guy, like, we'll hear a lot about this with this week. When you're one of the only guys who can be on the field and that workload, like, this is the week where, because of injuries, because of other things, there's a lot of guys. Like even with Houston, Diggs and Nico have to do it because there's no tank. So, like, Bowers has to do it because there's no Adams. Like, this is one of those thoughts. Okay. Oh, I can't put my value tight end in. Thank you for that.
You can.
No, because then we're playing no. Like, I'm not fully against 2 tight end builds. I'll say that right now. But if I'm doing 2 tight end builds, they have to have a ceiling. I'm not doing a 2 tight end build with 1 punt tight end who's probably only getting me 5 to 10 points.
Fair enough.
If I'm playing 2 tight ends, they both can get me 20. So, like, no, I'm not just going to say jam Travis Kelce into the flex. Even though Travis Kelce is probably, like, well,
he's 54.
He is 54. He's actually not a horrible value on the week.
I like him this week.
But there's weird ownership things that are being projected right now that I don't believe in. Like, you look at, if you have projection sets for DFS right now, you look at it and, like, I'll say this. Kelce's ownership and my ability to play him is directly being affected by the 7K range of wide receivers.
I agree. That's why I'm saying I think Brock Bowers and Kelce are basically wide receivers at this point. But who do you want?
And that's true. That's true. Okay, so let's get my first pick out of the way. He's one of my locks of the week. We were talking about him earlier. Put Najee Harris in at running back.
Najee, I like that.
I don't trust Indiana. Now, this was a real flip because I almost wanted to put in George Pickens.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I almost wanted to put in George Pickens. Like, I think he's due for a breakout week here too, with his targets and routes cranking up. Them giving Justin Fields more work in the offense. Like, I do think Pickens is due for a breakout week. But unlike what he did in Atlanta, like, Arthur Smith must just see the world in opposite fucking colors. Because, like, in Atlanta, you had a clear number 1 back who you should be giving the ball to 20 plus times a game, and you still split him and Algier and Cordero Patterson and everything. But then you come to Pittsburgh, to a backfield that everyone thought this is a split backfield. And Warren, even when he wasn't injured, wasn't even really seeing snaps. Even Cordero Patterson is only being used for those couple of trick plays. Like, they're actually giving Najee 20 touches a game.
I will say, I think the reason might be because they are both in contract years, and you can't pay them both.
I mean, that might be, but, like, you're probably not paying a running back anyway.
My point was that Warren...
And neither one... Like, you would have to have... Like, Najee or Warren would have to have 1,000-yard season, 8-touchdown year to warrant them getting any kind of major contract.
Well, the reason I like this play is because Warren is actually out. In week 1, he got some work. Now, granted, it was low, but he still got some work. He was on the field. I don't know if anyone will take Harris off the field in a meaningful way because Patterson might get some, screen kind of
he'll get
players.
some scheme things, some trick stuff. They seem to show that Arthur
right, that might happen.
Patterson, and he'll do that. But he's actually willing to give a running back 20-plus touches, which is like he wouldn't do that in Atlanta for Bijan, but he's doing it 100% for Najee. And so
Harris has also caught the ball more, especially last week. Got 5 targets. Now they weren't high ADOT or anything, but they that does count in a PPR website.
That was more so pressure wise when he got his targets. I will say that.
Sure, but that's what I'm saying. Like when you take a running back out of the field,
that's because the Chargers defense can get some pressure. But like it's good to know that he's able to be that release valve. Like that makes me like I look at these stats and I'm like, they don't need to take Najee off the field. I go into my red zone stuff for Pittsburgh, and like they are using Najee.
Go into your bag, Gov. What else do you got?
All right. So now that I've relieved a little bit of salary value, we're going to get rid of all of that, and you're going to jam in Kyren Williams as the other running back.
Well, we can jam it in.
Oh, you took the spot.
Yep, sorry. I didn't get to pick my tight end, so you guys, if you want a running back, we're flexing it.
I
don't like as good as the Chicago defense has been this year. This is one of those spots where there's no one else on the Rams. And last week when you didn't have Kupp and you didn't have Puka, instead of Stafford throwing it to Robinson or Tyler Johnson or Tutu Atwell, they gave Kyren so much work. Like, again, the theme of this week is injuries are giving certain guys so much volume. Just don't overlook it. Like these guys that are getting 80%, 90% snaps and getting utilized most of the time in those snaps, getting touches, I just don't want to fade it.
I think Kyren ran bad, actually. I thought he could have been used more in the receiving game. Tutu.
That might have been just because it was San Francisco and they had a tough defense.
Right. That's what I'm saying is I actually expect Williams to touch the ball maybe 30, 34, 35 times this game. I really do.
And in a game that he could definitely get more receiving work if it's we'll see. But I like Kyren for his volume. I think he has a ceiling against Chicago. As good as Chicago's defense has been, they're not something I am afraid of. Like Tennessee was able to put up some points and try to keep up, even though the defense it was the defense that beat Tennessee, not the Chicago offense. Chicago offense has been getting slowly better, so I think this is a game where they could put up enough offense with Keenan Allen back to push the Rams. And if the Rams are pushed, they've shown that they're I don't want to say it's exactly like this, but McVay's totally willing to turn Kyren Williams into Todd Gurley while he has no receivers.
I agree with all that.
It's just clear to me that they're doing it.
Donnie, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have the same argument here. I know there's a more obvious play that you could go with, but I want the consistent one who's been here for the last couple of years, and he's gonna be, there. Give me James Conner in the flex, man.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all.
That's a running back play I'm slowly falling in love with this week, and I need it in this lineup.
Yep.
Everyone wants to play Marvin Harrison Jr., and I love the kid.
I was going to say, it's a good leverage off of that.
I mean, James Conner's consistent every week. He's getting touches constantly.
We think this game's going to score a lot of points. Everyone wants to play Harrison. He's not a bad play. This is the way just to slightly, do it a bit different. And so that's why I like it. It's not neither one are a bad play. You can even play both in some lineups if you built right. But I do like kind of how you process through that, Donnie. It's not bad at all.
I do think Conner, like early when I started doing my research, I thought Conner was going to be a great low-owned play. Mm-hmm. The more I get onto it in research, it still seems like he's going to be the lower-owned part of that game.
Yep.
But here's the big problem I have right now, and I'll get it out quick since you've got Conner in there. This game, the Washington-Arizona game, it's the highest total game, which in my mind means this should be the game that most people are going to get exposure to.
It probably deserves it.
But here's the thing. Projections either haven't caught up to that or are lying to you about it, because you look at projections and they still have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Conner sub 10% guys like no one's playing them. They are literally the guys I've been hearing about for the last 2 days that everyone wants to play. So they will not be low-owned. That's the thing. People are going to look at it and be like, oh, I can stack Marvin Harrison and James Conner and I get 2 low-owned guys and all the things from the thing. And
they're not going to be low-owned. I'm playing them my personal it's kind of like when betting numbers come in. Once the smart people get their hands on it, like Saturday night starts happening, the smarter people are going to bet. I think it's definitely going to happen.
I think there's like 6 running backs we could say the same thing about this week. Not much going on. They're going to get volume.
Again, there's a lot of guys. It's not just running backs. Like, we've got one of the receivers that, like, there's not really anything else. Like, there's no running backs in Houston, and they're out Tank Dell. They're going to be throwing it to Nico and Diggs the whole game, basically.
Is it my pick now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I'll find some pretty value here, Donnie. But we got some admirers of Donnie today. I just want to point that out. They think Donnie's looking extra cute today, so I don't know who that is.
Leave that up and block his face with that. Do that. Yeah.
That's what made me pause my James Conner claim. By the way, I read that comment. I was like, all right, whatever. I'm not even acknowledging it.
I mean, maybe he thought your pick was so good that it was a try. I have no idea who that guy is, but I'm glad that he got some love, because I also like Donnie's picks today. I'm not going to go. Hustle wants me to go with Dalton Schultz. I'm not that high on Houston.
I do like Schultz. Like, if you're going to stack the Houston game, I think Schultz is a great way to go with it, because he's going to be definitely going to be a low-owned part of that game. He's going to be overlooked because people are going to go cheaper into the 3K range at tight end, or they're going to play the Bowers, the Kelsey, the Kittles that are more expensive. So, like, it's in that weird range at tight end where I know he's going to be low-owned, even if everyone ends up even if Stroud stacks and Nico and Diggs end up being higher owned than expected, I do not see that going to Schultz. So, like, there's a great GPP pivot for a DFS lineup. Because he's definitely getting targets. He's definitely out there on the field. Mm-hmm. And he's shown in past years that he is an athletic talent who can be used as a
I think Hustle's very smart. And
I don't think this is going to be the Goddard breakout week for Schultz. But I do think, like, if these injuries stay, he'll probably have one of those weeks.
And Hustle's a smart guy. He's going to stack C.J. Stroud. He's going to stack the top and bring back. He knows what he's doing. I don't like C.J. Stroud, so I don't want to bet on that game. It's not wrong. It's just I don't like C.J. Stroud. The game I do think is going underappreciated in a way is the value that we're going to get from the Eagles. I think everyone knows there is value in this game, but no one knows how to play it. So people are just going to stuff Saquon Barkley. But because we can't with this lineup construction, it makes sense to go to a legit 6'7" wide receiver who is underpriced for the volume that we expect. Whether you think he's talented or not, I don't really care, because he is 6'7", guaranteed playing time, guaranteed volume, at least on some level. He's not the slot guy. He's not the gadgety guy down the field. He is the touchdown guy. So if you're going to take a chance on a low-owned play getting a touchdown, you want to do it with a 230-pound wide receiver that's 6'7". So I like Wilson. He's also the rookie, so they got some draft capital in him as well. He's probably my best value play of the week.
I think there's one better receiver value play, but
there's a great one.
There's actually this is a slate that's kind of starved of true good value, but that just means like a Johnny Wilson is as good as some of these other $3,800
I also like Trey Tucker as well, but we have Brock Bowers in this lineup. So for that reason, I didn't want to go all in on the Raiders because, Gov mentioned earlier, they're kind of having a wholesale, like no one knows what that team is. So I just
Logan,
like
I was about to say, who's going to be your final pick for this?
Oh, Gov, Logan was in the middle of us.
Yeah, it was.
So it's you.
Oh, it's my final pick? Wait. Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I went first and second. Oh, yeah, so this is
my final. I wasn't ready, but I can pivot.
My bad. I thought for a second it was. Okay, no, yeah. Wow, I got lost in my head there. Okay. Let's see. To be fair, like looking at it, we can still get a cheap defense where we don't really need another great value play as long as we go super cheap at defense. We can still get a couple of 6K guys in at quarterback and wide receiver. Let me look at the price here and make sure this works because I kind of want to set us up for something that I'm hoping I can make this pick and you guys.
I have plenty of receiver plays and there's.
I'm literally trying to pick the receiver, so you guys have to be like, well, I guess we're gonna.
Even better.
I'm trying to see if it works. Where if I pick this receiver, you guys will be like, well, I guess we have to play this quarterback now, and then just plug in a defense. That's what I'm trying to do here. It's like, what is it gonna be? It
is a great week for 2 tight ends, though. I will say that too.
You know what? Yeah, is this price cheap enough where we can do that? It kind of is. It's not.
This lineup kind of jammed me up to the 2 tight end build, but I would have definitely done it had Donnie left me it available. I would have probably taken Travis Kelce, to be fair.
All right. I don't know. Let's see. So, do we have enough money? Maybe. We might have to go with that defense. Okay. We're just going to do it, and I'm going to let you guys figure it out, even though it's probably going to give us something god-awful. Chris Godwin is going to be our final receiver.
You had some FOMO from not playing him in week 1, if I do remember right. So this is an example.
No, it's not really even that. I usually don't play Tampa Bay guys. Like I don't have FOMO from not playing him against the Washington.
Well, you do regret not.
I wasn't sure week 1 that Washington was going to be that ass.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really do it. But again, we've talked about guys are missing. We've got injuries and guys are missing time. No Bucky Irving looks banged up. We don't have McMillan. So we know the passing game is going to go through Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. And Chris Godwin's been the heavy target monster, like the safety valve. He is the new number 1 for that team. Evans is a great receiver, but this team is Godwin 1, Evans 2. And that's how they're running it. And him being cheaper than Evans, that target share from a game that has all the ability to explode if Philly's offense is consistent, which playing Jeff Wilson is making a bet that Philly will have some form of consistent offense. Give me the best play on the other side.
All right, Logan.
You didn't leave me much. But it's okay. We'll make it work. I gotta take Minshew, don't I?
But no, you can pick a defense as well.
I was about to say, who plugged in the Panthers?
Yeah.
I was about to say, who plugged in the Panthers defense?
I just plugged them in to see. We don't have that many options at quarterback.
See, that's what I was trying to get. Let's see.
I'm saying the only viable one for this lineup would be Minshew, or what are we gonna go, Bo Nix, or would you just play a naked Andy Dalton?
You have to pick either quarterback or defense.
I'll take the Panthers.
I mean, if I'm just playing a naked quarterback in this range, I'm probably going to Sean. But
so you're leaving me with 5,400.
Oh, Deshaun's there too, yeah.
So I got 5,400 at quarterback.
And that is the cheapest. Panthers, I believe, is the cheapest defense.
Listen,
so like this is all you really have. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I can't go naked quarterback if I'm not going to go the guy who I think is going to finish with the most points. And the guy I think that will finish with the most points this week is going to be Dalton. Out of all these choices, I know we don't have a stack partner with it, but I just feel like he's the only one who has a chance at hitting a certain ceiling.
See, and I think this is probably one of the mistakes I have, but I think about it from the other side. It's like, which one of these guys actually has a floor that's not going to kill this lineup? And to be fair, if Jordan Love is out, that's probably
no. Did you hear the report is that they're going to have like special packages for Love.
They're going to have packages. Yes.
So like that's a lie. That
has to be a lie.
100% a lie. You don't give your main starting quarterback who's injured. Oh, well, now we have packages to bring him back. No, I agree. When Love is healthy, he'll be 100% the quarterback, and Malik Willis will go back to maybe not even dressing.
That's why Donnie and I are upset, because that just muddles the thing up. You don't want to muddle your offense up. The
offense knows what's going to happen. They're just saying that to confuse.
Yeah, but I don't like it, though.
I don't like it because that's just telling me that you believe less in Malik Willis than I believe in him. You clearly just have no faith.
Yeah, I don't.
And
I'm sorry. It's starting to make crap. I love how you guys actually believe these fucking coaches.
No, I don't believe them.
I haven't had a coach say a truthful thing since June.
I don't believe
about any of their teams. Every coach speak that's been said has been proven wrong in the first 3 weeks.
I don't believe
Everyone talking about Kyren Williams. Oh, he's returning punts. They're going to keep using Blake Corum. No, you're going to give Kyren Williams every single running back snap on the team, even when Puka and Kupp are out. You're not even going to use Blake Corum and the other guy. It's a straight lie. These coaches lie. If a coach said the truth, then every team would game plan against it. And now you tell the truth.
Sure, but there are so many things you can get wrong as a coach. Why perpetuate something that's going to make you look stupid on top of,
the only reason to do it is to try to we're going to have some Jordan Love package out there to try to make the Minnesota defense have to.
That's what I'm saying.
But to be fair, Minnesota's a good enough defense. They're going to be able to play against Jordan Love with their normal defensive schemes if Jordan Love's playing. They're just going to need to practice for this run-heavy Malik Willis offense that Green Bay has been doing. That's the only real thing. Is Green Bay knows that they've completely changed their offense and offensive scheme while Willis is out there.
I'm just going to start
trying some gamemanship with the other team to make it so they're not going to completely game plan for it. But if Minnesota's smart, they will just practice all week for Malik Willis, and then when it's Jordan Love, cool. We can go back to the normal defense we've been playing the first 3 weeks.
I'm just going
to have this heavy run defense in our back pocket.
I'm just plugging in some value that I know you guys can correct me and we can upgrade if you think there's a better value play, but these are what I got so far.
By the way, Gov, have you?
I wasn't considering any one of those guys except Johnny Wilson.
I'm not even saying you should consider all of them. I'm just putting them. I'm putting them on the board so that way we can have that discussion.
I think we should just take it off and do it as the way we were doing it, where we just name players altogether.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's go.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to get you guys to move along is all, to be fair.
No, you're good.
I just want to say, what do we know about Deontay Johnson's injury? I know he's coming in with a designation. I think
it's a groin.
So he was limited Friday, right?
Yeah, limited.
Yeah, he got the veterans limited practice. Okay. He was still running in practice. He was still doing everything. It's not like he was on the sideline not doing anything. He was still normal part of practice in the limited fashion.
See, it's a groin and not a hammy.
I do not expect. Groins are actually really bad for receivers who need to jump and get a ball. Deontay's not a burner where his hamstring's going to stop him from he's a guy who's a possession guy. So him not being able to pivot his hips correctly to jump and get a ball, that would worry me with a groin injury. But I also don't think it's going to be that big of a deal this week. I truthfully don't think his injury is that much of a big deal where it's going to be a huge problem.
I don't think he misses. It might limit it. Groins do get re-aggravated really easy, and being a route runner that he is, I do think he's one of the best route runners.
If anything, him getting a 40% target share last week, way too high anyway, he's probably going to come back down to earth.
He'll regress and
not have 14 targets. Could he still have 8 to 10 easily?
Yeah, I think he can still get to 11. So I don't think he's a good play, but that's the built-in excuse for now.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of his injury.
So let's just plug in Deontay Johnson then in this. If we all think he's a good value play, I think that makes sense. This is
like I say, I can take out anyone you want. I was just plugging in values so we could move it along. I do think these other values are good plays. If you build right,
I think there's better running backs on this slate.
Yeah, I have not considered Carson Steele all week. That is not a game I was looking at to play. He is not a guy getting heavy usage in that offense.
Right.
Like he's getting running back work because they have no running backs, except for the fact that they now have Kareem Hunt and they've already said that he's going to be on the field mixing in like P-Ryan. So
that would be the off.
Unless Carson Steele comes out and breaks off a big one early, I don't think he's going to get the volume that he got last week. And even with that volume, he didn't.
That's where he would be awesome. I get it, but he did get 70 yards last week. But the Hunt thing is real. To Gus' point,
Najee Harris, I think, is like you have it. That's perfect.
I was waiting on the Najee Harris news when it came to Warren because if Harris is the guy, I will probably play him. I would say almost in every lineup. I'm not going to lie to you on that. I just think he's great.
Is there any other running backs you guys have? Because I have another running back that I kind of want to get in there we haven't spoke about yet.
No, go ahead. Who do you got?
I really, really like Aaron Jones at his price. I don't know how he's still so cheap.
He's not really cheap. Like he's in that range of 6K running backs. Unless you're one of those guys who's got an absolute breakout ceiling, usually you get put in this mid to 6K range.
I'm not saying we won't upgrade to it in this line, Donnie, but that you're stretching the value idea now.
I do like, but so is Josh Jacobs, so is Jordan Mason, so is Josh Dobbs, so is Rashad White. Like there's all guys in that same range who actually are getting the same sort of work as Aaron Jones.
Yeah, obviously.
If you're playing it purely on volume, there's 4 other running backs in the same
volume game environment as well.
We're not playing this lineup as this is the iteration. We're playing it with what's the cheapest value possible, so then we can upgrade in smart ways. I don't disagree.
Really, this is I'm trying to think. What's the other running back value I've been looking at?
Chuba Hubbard.
I forgot his name. No, I'm actually way off Chuba. Chuba had his big week last week in what was an extremely high-paced game where the Panthers ran over 70 plays. Mm-hmm. Crazy amount of offense and plays. I don't expect Carolina to run 70-plus plays again. So Chuba's probably not getting 24, 25.
Ford makes sense because of the injuries to the Raiders. If you expect the Browns to win, I think Ford makes a lot of sense.
And he's kind of magic proof as well. He is their number one pass catcher as well. I actually like your pick on Jones. I just think he's too expensive right now. The best value on the board, but again, he's too expensive, would be Robinson. I know a lot of my lines about Robinson.
Brian Robinson is definitely the chalk running back at 61 that everyone would play.
Yeah.
Again, that's another running back getting all the work in that 6K range.
We can definitely upgrade to that
now,
range.
I love Aaron Jones, but he is not like a top value play. He's like a low-owned pivot off of one of these value plays. So like when we have money left over, I may definitely get up to Aaron Jones. But I do think like Najee and Brian Robinson are probably the 2 running backs to start with. That's going to be like, again, I don't care about chalk. This lineup is probably going to look very chalky.
By the way,
even though it's going to be different because it's going to have a few thousand left on the table.
I do want to mention though, when Gibson was out last year for the Commanders with Robinson on the, everyone's like, well, what's going to happen now to their passing game? When that happened last year, Robinson got 7-8 targets in those 2 games. Now it wasn't a huge sample size, and obviously different team, but he has proven that he can catch passes. Much like Najee Harris, people don't think about it, but those are 2 bigger backs that have proven that yes, they can be safety valves for their teams.
I'm going to be honest, I'm not very interested in Higgins at all.
No, I wouldn't be either, but that would be a value play. The other value
he is the value tight end popping up at 3,100.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are going to end up migrating to either one of the expensive guys, Goddard, Bauer. No, I don't think people are going to play Tremble at all.
No, I'm just saying in that range. Like Tremble is the other value play in that range.
I'm not even considering him, honestly.
But
it's him and Mike Gesicki that are the value plays.
Gesicki's another good one. Like, I'm with you. I'm not
like Tremble's an actual dart throw with no ceiling. He hasn't shown the snap count. He hasn't shown the target share. Like, that's an absolute dart throw at minimum salary.
Yeah,
and like that's not actually, a good. That doesn't make that a good value.
This is actually one of the
Higgins should get the work for Arizona with no McBride, and Gesicki was already one of their top receivers in Cincinnati.
For example,
those would be the two ones.
He was a converted wide receiver. If FanDuel doesn't even have him listed as a tight end, he's only listed as a wide receiver. So that just shows you that like what kind of player he is.
Oh, yeah, this is the same one from Cleveland a few years ago. Okay, I was about to say I feel like I recognize this name.
Yeah, he's a converted wide receiver.
I think we should go up to Gesicki instead of Higgins at tight end.
Well, let's fill out the lineup first.
Let's finish.
Well, it's a 400 difference, and me and you aren't on that value. So,
yeah. Well, let's just leave it in for right now. But like that is one of the things I think all of us are gonna be like, well, when we get to the end, the first thing we're gonna do is switch off of that tight end.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so
I'm not playing a value tight end this week.
From what I'm seeing, it looks like the value quarterback would be the chalk quarterback is Jaden Daniels, but he's in that 6K range right now. The value would be either Andy Dalton or Caleb Williams.
I would say it's either Andy Dalton or Bo Nix.
No one's considering. Why would it be Bo Nix against the Jets? I actually want to know your thought process.
No,
why you would play Bo Nix against the Jets?
I'm not saying I'm playing it. I'm not actually. I'm off it. I'm just saying of the value.
I have heard no one talking about Bo Nix at all. Not in any of my research. Like, this is literally the first time anyone's brought up Bo Nix to me all week.
Oh, well, that's probably...
And that includes Double J, who is a Broncos fan, hasn't brought up Bo Nix.
Bad news for me, because I was hoping he was going to be 5%. I think he's a bad play, but people love his rushing.
He's going to be like 1% if owned at all. No one's playing a quarterback against the Jets. The Jets defense is legit.
Okay, so it is.
No one's playing a road quarterback against the Jets, especially.
Those are the two value quarterbacks I had heard, was Bo Nix and Andy Dalton. So it is Andy Dalton.
Yeah, Andy's definitely the more he's gonna be the chalkier one.
We won money on it last week, so we don't have that FOMO where we have to go back. I think a lot of people are. I think there's good ways to build with Andy. I think a lot of people though are just mad that they weren't on it last week.
I think Andy's a solid play this week still. What is his ownership at about, Gov? Could you give me a range?
I don't have it in front of me right now. But
can you get it to me by Sunday at least? That's we can do that off air. I just kind of want to know it.
I don't disagree.
As soon as I know, I'll let you know. But I'm trying to base this off of stuff, and I'll admit this week, like I said, my process is a little off. I'm kind of in between stuff. I don't actually have good ownership projections that I can access. I'm going to need to ask people to give them to me too this week. So that's just sort of where I'm at. But from what I'm hearing, Dalton is going to be one of the higher owned
it's not bad.
Just because that is that Cincinnati Carolina game is the second highest total game on the slate. Right. I've already heard people liking to play that game.
Yeah.
But again, this is a weird week because if you told me that Washington, Arizona, and Cincinnati Carolina were the two highest total games on the slate, I would tell you Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jamar Chase are two of the highest owned wide receivers on the slate.
The cheapest defense,
and they're literally coming in as
give me your cheapest defense, Donnie, so we can
minus Tampa.
That's
the cheapest I'd go.
Yeah, I like that. Okay,
that's a good solid cheap defense right there. I think the chalk is the Rams against Chicago, which is only 100 more. But I personally like the pivot to Tampa against Philly.
Now, who do you guys?
Now, Jalen Hurts is not very mistake prone, and they will run the ball a lot. But I still think if Philly tries to do anything, Tampa could get up. That defense could make a good run. Now let's see. That leaves I don't have to worry about money.
As a good value.
I'm scared of Jacksonville. I'm just scared of playing Jacksonville.
I would much rather play Brian Thomas Jr., but I'm kind of afraid of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Personally, I think my favorite value right here would probably be
McLaurin?
McLaurin's going to be highly owned. But
that's the idea, is how we could still play some of these low.
Is it just hours? Do you just double tight end it?
It could be.
No. Let's see. I mean,
well, I don't want to overthink it so much because I know we're going to change so much of it anyways.
Right.
Then I would probably just plug in McLaurin.
Yeah, let's plug in McLaurin and then rebuild it.
Okay.
All right.
So
we plug in McLaurin and we have 8,400 left on the table. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first thing we all have agreed we want to do is we don't want to play Elijah Haynes.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. This is funny for me. If you guys have watched our content, I'm usually the pay down tight end guy. This is the 1 week where I don't want to do that.
I'm fine with Gesicki, and I'm also fine with a lot of other starting tight ends this week.
We have so much money, I would not mind paying up in this lineup here.
I like Bowers here. I like Travis Kelce.
Bowers,
here.
Kittle, and Goddard would be my 2 or 3 three favorites.
I kind of want to. I don't want to get a part of the FOMO Goddard stuff. I think we should probably just go Bowers and say, hey.
Yeah, because I think that's our consensus. Because I don't want to go. I think Goddard's ownership is going to be crazy. We already have Wilson. That would be a way to be different. Or we could just pay up all the way and get Barkley.
But when we're doing this, we have to get off Tucker, right?
I also agree. Tucker would be the next guy I would get off in this lineup.
Okay.
If I didn't do that, it would then honestly be McLaurin.
And is this the lineup we just throw Collins in, or no?
Collins would work here.
I don't hate again. So again, from what I've seen, and this is the weird part of the week, the chalk would be to throw in Rashee Rice. How Rashee Rice is pulling more ownership than Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jamar Chase.
Targets.
No, I know, but these
Collins
other guys.
that too.
That's the thing. All these other receivers are getting the same work. It's not like Rice is the only one getting 11 targets.
That's why I'm letting you cook go.
All these other receivers are in better, higher total games. Like, it makes no sense to me that Rice is pulling any ownership.
That's why I'm letting you cook.
Much less being the number 1 wide receiver. So
I agree with you, but
I personally this is the thing. Like, I will tell everyone now, I don't trust ownership projections this week. I will say right now, I do not think Rashee Rice comes in anywhere close to one of the highest owned wide receivers.
I like Nico Collins here.
I think Nico's the guy who's going to be the
let's throw Nico in.
Nico destroys man coverage, and like I said earlier, Jacksonville's the one team that's like stupidly stubborn on man coverage. I want to say they run 20% more man coverage than any other team this so far this season. Like, Peterson is just a very stubborn man for what he believes in.
Okay, do we just from here? I kind of like Dalton as a play. I'm fine with getting off it if you guys aren't comfortable with it.
If we keep Dalton, we have to keep Johnson, and then I'm fine.
Yeah, look, I don't mind the Dalton Johnson thing.
I do think we have to decide between McLaurin and Robinson.
Yeah, can we?
That's my thought. I think we do need to decide. I
like both of them, so don't.
I wouldn't play both Washington guys without either stacking Jaden Daniels or bringing it back with an Arizona guy.
I just don't see the game script where they both get there, but I love them. Don't make me choose. It'd be like choosing my kids. I don't want to do it.
I'd rather just go McLaurin to Chase and say, hey, we got to bring back for our quarterback stack.
Okay.
If that fits, I don't.
No,
McLaurin, not Robinson.
Oh, McLaurin. Okay. Sorry.
So put Robinson back in there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it because I'm actually just going to probably split the difference of whatever we did in this lineup for my own personal. Make sure you get the right.
That leaves us 81. So really, the thought is like we can basically pay up for anyone who's there. Yeah, Chase is right there. Brees is right there. Barkley against Tampa.
I think it's Barkley or Chase for me, or Harrison.
We have Tampa's defense in.
Yeah, that's the other. So actually, we probably should go Chase and then use that 400 to get off Tampa, because if we have Tampa's defense and then the punt wide receiver for Philly, not great correlation.
I know we're up against it, but I have to ask you guys your opinion because I think you like this player, and I haven't heard that much talk about him. What do you guys think about Breece Hall? Are you really scared of it? Because I like the rookie as well, but this might be.
going to be Brees low owned has a 30-point day, to be honest. Like, I don't think Denver's defense has gotten that much better. Like, they weren't as bad as they were last year, because they had that one giant game.
Also, Bijan Robinson is really cheap. Like, the running back pricing is just weird for me this week. I just want to mention that.
The thing for me about Brees Hall is
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like the ability for him to go off, but there is a chance that Allen comes in and takes weird.
They definitely are using Braylon Allen. They are definitely using Braylon Allen more than I would like. But it's also clear that Brees is the more talented back. He's the one who's going to garner the runs. Like, Allen has basically, it's not quite as much as Foreman, but he is basically just being used in games where the Jets don't, like, they're either way up or way down. And it's like, let's try something.
But those carries, like, he does stuff with them, so he's going to keep getting them.
No, I agree. Like, he is actually producing with it, so he will continue to get these 4 to 5 carries a game that take away from Brees Hall's ceiling. That being said, Brees Hall still has a legitimate ceiling with his workload.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And the way to beat Denver is to run the football.
Yeah, and you get a home team up in New York. Like, this could be a sneaky Brees Hall week.
I just haven't heard that much about it. I thought it was odd.
Except for the fact that it does look like he's pulling ownership now that I'm starting to get some stuff pulling up. That's what?
Also,
okay, never mind. This ownership just looks absolutely weird.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Bijan Robinson's really cheap this week. No one knows what to do with Kamara. What are we doing with this lineup, though? I know we have a hard out coming up.
Like I said, we I think we all like Chase.
Yeah.
To be as a bring back on the Carolina game.
Okay.
So we can put him in.
That probably makes the most sense. I might even consider Marvin Harrison if I was to finish this lineup. So
I would also since we get off a Washington guy, like, I would be fine with either one of those two, Chase or Harrison. What about you, Donnie?
I'm
either one correlates. We can correlate Harrison with our B-Rob, or we can correlate Chase with our.
I'd rather just correlate. The Cincinnati's going to play desperate, which means they're going to get Chase the ball because that's what Burrow does when he gets a little desperate. He wants Chase to get the ball.
You don't think second week back Higgins might get more than 3 targets?
He probably will.
He might, but I think that it's taken away from guys like Gesicki possibly. Then
I agree. I do think it's more like Gesicki and Yoshibas that get less targets than Chase.
And if Higgins
there is the possibility that Chase sees 1 or 2 less targets with Higgins getting more run.
And if Higgins is picking up first downs, though, if he's over the middle picking up first downs and they score more touchdowns, I still think Chase is the high leverage touchdown guy.
Let's check out the defense here. Let's see.
Yeah, we got 400. We can get off that uncorrelated.
I like the Vikings
actually
defense.
Miscorrelated Tampa Bay defense.
I know what my favorite is. It's the Vikings.
31.
The Vikings blitz. They run exotic blitz. They run zone blitzes.
I like that against Green Bay, but my favorite one in this range would probably just be Houston.
I
know Jacksonville is ass.
Yeah, I'm so out on Trevor Lawrence, and I hate to say it because I outside of Logan, I probably stuck around with him the longest.
I'm still on the train, but
I kept making excuses, but he's looked real bad.
Donnie, it's getting dark though. Peterson apparently is now considering getting rid of his first year OC and going back to calling the plays.
That's what happened. Exactly what happened in Philly that got him fired.
Yeah, that's just the point I was going to make. That's literally what got him fired was he scapegoated everyone else, took over play duties. They weren't better. I will say, if you guys need another reason to play Kirk this week, Peterson does tend to favor Kirk if he is calling plays. So if you do believe that rumor that he's going to take control more of the offense, maybe it is a Kirk week to split the difference. I do love Brian Thomas Jr. for the record, but he's in a price range that's uncomfortable. Same with Roma Dunze, just quickly. Roma Dunze is at a price. I don't think DraftKings knows what to do with him, so they're just going to screw you guys when it comes to
I agree. Like with Keenan Allen, if Keenan Allen were completely out, Dunze would have been one of the values I said plug in. Like I would have said do a Dunze over McLaurin had Keenan Allen.
But even Keenan Allen's a weird price for coming back. Like he's still in the 6Ks, and then DJ Moore gets kind of sandwich.
Like a high 6K range because he hasn't really had that ceiling yet. But he does get, like, DJ Moore's the one I would play from that game of those 3. Because I think he's going to be the one that gets squeezed out over cheaper Keenan and super cheap Dunze.
Yeah. I guess I mentioned it with the running back with Brees Hall just not getting any talk. I talked about Bijan Robinson. We talk about this with the Bears and just value. Is there anything else you guys want to mention that you think is a bit strange or off this week in terms of like process of lineup building that doesn't make any sense? I know Gov mentioned Rice earlier.
I just love how chaotic this week is with what you could play, because everyone's going to do all these different things. I'm going to just, I think, stick with my guys. I think I've played every one of these guys in this lineup at least once this year, and all the injuries have helped my love for these guys already. So
I'm such a contrarian builder, I'll say, that I know I can build a Commanders and Arizona stack differently than everyone else. Like, I'll get different elsewhere that I'm not worried about. I love McLaurin. I love Daniels. I was high on Cliff Kingsbury. I think I was one of the reasons pushing for that Daniels best ball team that we drafted a month. So it's not just hyperbole. This is stuff I believed in. I'm going to ride that offense until the wheels come off.
Usually by week 8, that's when Cliff Kingsbury's offense turns off. So.
Yeah. All right. This was a good show. Good afternoon to the people. I didn't say goodnight this time. I'm improving. You guys have also showed us great improvement and great love. By the way, we were up to like 8 viewers live. You guys asked some questions. We got partnered up with the Discord channel, so we've been doing some partnerships on the back end as well. Hopefully that helps viewership. Take the 3 seconds to like and subscribe on your way out. Much appreciated, guys.
Comment down below with any thoughts you have about the slate, anything you want us to. If you've got a question you want us to review on Tuesday, make sure to drop it in the comments. We would be happy to read them and talk about everything. Make sure to drop any questions you have. If you are friends with either one of me or Logan in the Discord, like, we are in multiple different Discords where we can listen to questions everywhere. And most importantly, everyone have a fun Sunday, and don't go out of pocket. Bankroll management. Don't be stupid and bet the house on anything.
Thank you for mentioning that. We always should mention that. These are entertainment wages. That's part of the reason you don't see us touted either. Be smart with your money. This is just a process. We're teaching you a process of what you could do. You could do this with a free lineup, so don't get carried away. Good night, guys. See, I did it again. I want to get out of here before I say good night. Good afternoon, guys. See you later. Take care.
Peace out, everyone.
Good night, everyone.